I think he did want to be an actor when he was younger. I think that was actually the direction he would have gone in if he wasn't an artist. He would have been something in the entertainment industry. And I remember him saying that he always loved gangster movies, and he thought he'd make a really good gangster.
When I was working with him, he would tell me a story that he was about to draw. He would tell me, here's the plot of the next New Gods. And I'd sit there for an hour, and he would tell me this wonderful, rich, exciting story that I was dying to see drawn. And at the end of it, I would say, hey, Jack, that sounds great, which was about the contribution I made as his assistant. That was about the extent of it. And I'd come back the following week, and he'd hand me the pages, and I'd look at it and go, this is fabulous, but it's not the story you told me. And he'd go, it isn't? And I'd say, no, you told me this story about, I'd tell him this other story. He'd go, hey, that sounds great. Isn't that what I drew? And I'd say, no, how did you get from one story to the other? And he would look at me, and his blank look on his face. He had no idea how he got there. He had done something wonderful, but it happened so spontaneously that he was not consciously aware of the creation. He was just like a Ouija board, putting it down, going where instincts told him to go. There was a problem with Lee and Kirby working together because, first of all, the credits said written by Stan Lee, drawn by Jack Kirby. Too much of the reputation, he felt, had gone to Stan, because Stan was the guy who was the head of the company. Stan was the figurehead. Stan was the spokesman. Stan was also a much better interview than Jack. When the outside press came in to interview people, they interviewed Stan. And even if Jack was there, Stan was such a charming, affable guy that he dominated the interviews, and reporters went back and wrote about the genius Stan Lee, who was creating all the comics. They were never Stan Lee's superheroes. They were Stan Lee's and Jack Kirby's superheroes. And that was the kind of thing that drove Jack nuts over the years. For a long time, he felt that the system was working against him and not giving him ample acknowledgement of his contribution. And he was right. For reasons other than the obvious, it was tragic that Jack passed away when he did, because he was finally starting to get some rewards. I think if Jack had lived a few more years, he would have received so many accolades and so many rewards that would have balanced out some of the bad years there, because the business was maturing, the industry was maturing, the fans were maturing, and they were starting to put his work in better context and to revere it as he knew it would happen. He always knew that he would get his reward someday. He just didn't want as much of it as has been to be posthumous. There are two images I remember about Jack, one pleasant, one unpleasant. The unpleasant one came one time when Roz drove the two of us down, or maybe I drove, to a supermarket near their house. And Roz went in to get a few things, and Jack and I sat in the car. And there was a Toys R Us, big, giant toy store next door. And I said to Jack, hey, let's go in and walk around in that toy store while Roz is shopping, and we'll look at things. And Jack looked at me and says, no, I can't go in there. And I thought he was kidding. They have a big sign out front that says nobody admitted under the age of 8 or something like that. And I said, oh, come on, you're old enough, you can go in there. And Jack turned pale. It was like I was asking him to put his hand in fire. And he said, I can't go in there. And I realized I had said something wrong, and I changed the subject quickly, and it was forgotten. We got back to the house later, and I asked Roz about it, and she said, he can't go in there because he sees all the Captain America toys and all the Hulk toys that have his drawings on them or his designs, and for which he gets no credit, no money, and it just upsets him too much. He gets so angry he can't work for a whole day. That's the bad memory I think of. The good memories that come to mind are of Jack at a comic convention. And Jack he'd have this huge line of people who just wanted to come up and say, Mr. Kirby, thank you for making my childhood bearable. Thank you for inspiring me. I became an artist because of you. And I said to myself at that point, that's wonderful. There's a magic there. This man has touched so many people and given so much that, I always thought that Jack was a genius. Maybe sometimes an unaware genius, an unconscious genius. But to be able to do that, to have so many total strangers recognize you as a major force in their life, maybe that was the reward for all that wonderful work he did. It was non-monetary, but that doesn't mean it wasn't more valuable.